everyone. I'm Jarrell. If we haven't met yet, I'm the developer of the Silver Falls games. Just thought I'd have a nice little casual chat with you. Shooting from the hip here, I just wanted to share with everyone that the final version of Silver Falls Ghoul Busters has been completed and that's been sent through to Nintendo, and they will get that out and up on the eShop as soon as possible. This game, we're looking at $9.99 US dollars, and I'm really looking forward to getting this game out. I've been working extremely hard. So if you are new to the Silver Falls series and you sort of missed everything that happened in March, just to quickly wrap up, fill you in on what's happened, is Silver Falls. We launched our first game in 2019 with 3 down stars on the new Nintendo 3DS. There's a few games out now. You can check them out. There's a couple of free games you can grab from our website. There's a novel that you can read as well for free through our website. But what happened in March, after Nintendo announced the end of sales for the 3DS and WiiU eShop, I had some game codes that I had registered with them previously, and I had moved on to Switch development, but we had so much demand from people for some of the games that we sort of originally were working on for the Wii U and 3DS, and we moved them on to the Switch, and I was going to launch those in the future as I finished development on each of those subsequent games. And after the amount of sort of negativity that surrounded the news of the eShop sales ending, I thought, you know, this would be a pretty good way to celebrate the 3DS and the Wii U, and it will give people a positive way to view the end of support for the 3DS and Wii U. So I went for it. The amount of work that it took in order to achieve that was not reasonable. It was unreasonable amount of work. It was unreasonable what I asked from Nintendo. It was a huge demand from them, and by all rights, they should have said, "You've left this very late. This is it's a lot of work on their side, what they had to do to meet my demands." Because I said, realistically, I've got 3.5 weeks now. I would like to submit 7 games to you for these consoles where they're ending sales. I won't even have that many months where I can actually make money out of these games. And they said, "Are you sure you want to do that?" You know, and I said, "I think this is the right thing to do because it's going to give people a positive way." Instead of saying what a bummer it is that the sales are ending on the 3DS and Wii U eShop, we can say, "Oh, check out these last-minute games that we got in there, and they're pretty fun," you know? And that's really what I wanted to bring to everyone around the world. It's just a positive way to look at the 3DS and Wii U. And up until that point, I normally work 120-hour work weeks when I'm doing my game development. I'm a solo developer, which means that if I actually want these games to get made, I have to put in the time, I have to put in the hours, and I don't complain about that. When it really comes down to it, I can push 130 hours a week, but that is a big price to pay. And I can maintain that workload for a few weeks, and after that I really need to stop. But what happened in March was I was already working 130 hours a week since the start of the year. I was working on White Inside Its Umbra for the Wii U. And so for March, when I decided to bring these 7 games out, I lost track of the amount of hours that I had put in March because I had worked multiple all-nighters in order to get these 7 games submitted to Nintendo. It was quite nail-biting at the very end. I felt quite defeated. I was quite exhausted because I was stumbling over my paperwork. I was getting so many things wrong in terms of submitting that realistically Nintendo should have said, there's too many errors. There's so many things wrong with the submissions. Time's running out, you know, and it really did come down to the last few hours of getting things, and Nintendo was totally on my side the entire time. They understood, I believe, where I was coming from, and it was really the individuals, the people working in the offices at Nintendo. It's because of them that these 7 games are possible, because I pushed myself too far. I was so exhausted at the end of March. If it wasn't for those individuals working in Nintendo that really pushed these games through, and they really carried the submission process, we wouldn't have these games to celebrate the end of sales on the eShop. So I'm so grateful to Nintendo. But the problem was, I told Nintendo I'll try to get the launch day versions, the final versions that are in great shape. These are going to be excellent products on launch day. I told them I'll try to get them all in. I told them I'd try to get them all in last month. But the problem was, I had pushed myself so hard in March. I physically paid the price for it in April, which I think is last month. Forgive me, I've lost track because I've been working so hard, such long hours, with minimal rest, minimal sleep. And so I couldn't work to my 100% capacity in April. I was just exhausted. So I wanted all the games, the launch day versions, in before the end of the month. I couldn't handle it. I was in recovery mode at that point. And I'm still paying the price for the workload that I put in March, because that's an unreasonable amount of work. The demands that sort of thing takes is you pay for it, and so I am paying for it. I'm still paying for it now. Some people have commented, yeah, my health is clearly declining more and more the more I make these videos, which is why I've done a little bit less face to face. I've been doing less live streams because I'm still physically paying for the work that I put in March. And I won't really be able to do anything about that until I get the rest of these games submitted, because we are running out of time. In August, you won't be able to put funds into your account anymore. So, please put funds into your account before August if you're looking forward to picking up these games. And I won't be able to address getting my health back on track until all these games are in. That's just how it is. If I want these games in, I'm going to have to do the work and put the hours in. So that's what's been happening with the series so far. With Ghoul Busters, though, it's a breath of fresh air now that I've got that submitted, because it feels like finally this was the game that was the most demanding, because a platformer that's heavily reliant on the timing and the spacing of all the platforms, that takes extremely close attention to detail. It takes a huge amount of iteration, more so than most other kinds of games. And so it took a lot of testing, a lot of refining. I had to leave out quite a few features that I really wanted to include, and hopefully I'll have the opportunity to add that in update if we get enough sales. If we don't move enough units on Ghoul Busters, there isn't much. It's not, from a business standpoint, it's not a good idea for me to spend another few hundred hours adding in a new features to Ghoul Busters if it doesn't move that many units. So we'll see how we go. If we can sell, a substantial number of units within the first month, I'll happily put in the amount of time and then add in a bunch of new content to Ghoul Busters. But I'm extremely happy with how that game turned out. It's the most fun that I've had testing and finishing a product. I was having a lot of fun actually playing it. And I really hope that people just have a blast. For people that are wondering, it is quite challenging. It's meant to be a difficult platforming game, something that you would find in the 90s, as it's styled after a Game Boy game. But there are a bunch of different items. You collect bottle caps and cereal box tops during Ghoul Busters. In between levels, there's a shop, so you can purchase items. So if you find certain levels are quite challenging or a bit difficult for you, you can actually just grind the easy levels and pick up currency and then just stock up on items, and you can just brute force your way, and you can create your own solutions rather than just doing the platforming the way that they're designed. You can actually create extra stuff, enhance your mobility. You can add things you can jump on, so you can actually sort of build your own solution around different levels as well. So I hope people really have a lot of fun with that. And about our upcoming mobile game that will be on Nokia phones, the old ones, these old funny fellas, and it'll work on more than just Nokia. I'm testing on LG and other phones. I appreciate everyone commenting and letting me know what model your old phones are. I'm trying to find similar models, and I'm sourcing them, and developing and testing the games to make sure that they work. So again, if you have concerns, please comment. Let me know what model your phone is, and I'll do my very best to make sure that our upcoming Silver Falls Pocket will work. And the reason why Silver Falls Pocket is so important is it's a sequel to a number of games. So ones that are coming up. So especially with Ghoul Busters for the main characters in that game, Silver Falls Pocket is a little bit of a sequel to Ghoul Busters in terms of the two main characters. So the two main characters in Ghoul Busters are the two main characters in Silver Falls Pocket as well. Silver Falls Pocket takes place in the late 2000s, so you will see these characters that are a little bit older. They're at a different stage in their life, and you can see how how their lives were affected by the events of Ghoul Busters. So I'm very much looking forward to that. That will be a mobile RPG, and it's the kind of game where you can play it long term. You can keep coming back weeks or even months later, and you can still enjoy the gameplay, and there'll be different daily challenges and more rewards as you come back throughout the day. Again, no monetization. That's 100% free. You don't have to buy Silver Falls Pocket. If you're new to the Silver Falls series, I generally do one free game a year, and that's just my way of letting my supporters know that I appreciate all of you for being there. I appreciate you for supporting the games, for hanging out on live stream, for chatting, for commenting, for telling other people about the Silver Falls games. I really do appreciate that. So instead of just saying that in a video, I like to put that into action. So in between the games that we sell, I'd like to make sure we get a free game out there, and that gives me a chance to experiment and to do some fun, crazy things as an indie developer. You know, you get to make fun homebrew type things. So I actually am really looking forward to getting that out. I think that's something that's going to just be an interesting way to tell a story, because it really does leverage your own personal nostalgia for these old phones. And this week I will be, or the upcoming week, I honestly don't even know what day of the week it is. I'm just working as hard as I absolutely can. I really push myself on these projects to get them done. That's just how it works as an indie developer. If you're a solo developer, you just have to put the work in. So I'm looking forward to doing the soundtrack for Guardians and Metal Exterminators. I submitted the first version of that game to Nintendo, and it didn't have its own soundtrack. I was borrowing the soundtrack from 3 Down Stars. So that's one of the things that I'm finishing, is completing the whole soundtrack for Guardians and Metal Exterminators. I get to flex some 80 music chops, so I'm looking forward to that, playing electric guitar, you know, and getting that 80 sound with the nice you know, wet drums. And I really am looking forward to sharing the soundtrack to that as well. And we'll be getting the final version of for launch day for White Inside It's Umbra. I've been fine-tuning that and getting that ready, and then hopefully that will be through to Nintendo tomorrow as well. So I can't speak for Nintendo. I don't know really how they feel about me trying to bring in these games at the last minute. From my personal experience and me reading the room, it feels like Nintendo really wants to bring some good games to people that are still using the Wii U and 3DS. I get the feeling that they really want people to be positive about these consoles, and they don't want to see people be bummed out. I don't want to see people bummed out, so I'm doing what I think I can do. And I really, really, truly believe that the people at Nintendo want people to enjoy and celebrate and be positive about these consoles, because there hasn't been pushback. What I've done and what I'm asking from them, it's huge. I am being a bit of a pain, because this is a huge amount of last minute extra stuff that they have to do in order to get my games through. But no matter what happens, I'm going to do my best, and I really hope that people enjoy these games. You know, sometimes I'll see people, you know, we have our Discords and we have our live streams, and people just start discussing the games that they enjoy on the Wii U and 3DS, and I enjoy seeing that passion, you know, because I'm a gamer. I grew up with the same games that you grew up with, and they're games that I feel really passionate about. And to see people so excited about games that they enjoy, to tell me that they're looking forward to to my upcoming games, because that's an exciting thing for a console that they enjoy, and we all know that these consoles won't be getting new games anymore. So the fact that I can bring excitement to people, it makes all the hard work worth it. I'll get my health back on track later on. Don't worry about that. Yeah, that's where we are with the series. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling very relieved tonight after finally getting Ghoul Busters, and again, that was the tough one. It took so much testing with platforming. I was working with a framework that I didn't build, but by the end of it, I had to tear the entire thing apart and then rebuild it. I do have some good news though. Nintendo really pushed me to try to get Ghoul Busters running, more smoothly on the original 3DS models, and the last few days have been an absolute nightmare in terms of I went into a development trance, and I just said, right, I'm not resting until this is, until I've got a great frame rate. I did say in a previous video before that the game won't run great on older 3DS hardware. That's now no longer applicable. The amount of work that I've done, the push from Nintendo, the game actually runs really smoothly on original 3DS and 2DS now. Not as smooth as new hardware, obviously, because new hardware is much stronger, but it's actually really nice. It's much better than it was before, and the frame rate is especially on new models. I look at it and my eyeballs thank me. That they just say like, "Ooh, this is smooth," and you got your character. The handling is really tight. You can really maneuver around obstacles and difficult platforming segments. So I really don't know how long I've been waffling on now. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. Like I said, I'm just going off the cuff here. If you are interested in seeing some stuff that's a little less official, I do have a Patreon page if you'd like to help me pay the bills, because it's going to be tough. I don't know when these games are going to start selling. I'm having a tough time keeping the lights on while I work on this stuff, because they're not selling yet, and I really need to get these games selling. But for everyone that has purchased Silver Falls games recently, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I'm going to do my best to get these new games out to you. And if you'd like to see some unofficial stuff, like stuff that I don't really, it's not ready to be presented to the wider public, but if you would like to see some stuff, I have Patreon, so over the next week I'm actually going to be sharing some stuff, and I'll be showing part of one of our upcoming games, that's some content that's actually going to use the Circle Pad Pro. That's pretty fun, isn't it? We didn't get that many games that really capitalized much on that. And again, for everyone that purchased 3 Down Stars recently for the new 3DS, again, the current build does have some compromises. There's visual compromises, performance compromises, and then later in the game there are crashes. If you've missed the news, I have an update that I'm working on prepared for that fixes the crashes. There'll be faster loading time, substantially better graphics. So again, for 3 Down Stars, that absolutely, I finally, after 2 years of hard work, I've finally been able to fix that. So I'm ready to finally give people the game that they've been asking for, and people have been so great sending in their feedback, asking for adjustments or for certain improvements and for new features. I always appreciate hearing that. So yeah, if you could help me spread the word, let people know that 3 Down Stars on the 3DS is going to get a massive update that finally fixes the crashes. Graphics are going to be better, performance is actually better. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Help me spread the word. Thank you very much for your support. I don't know, I've been talking for like half an hour or whatnot, but I really appreciate you. Please take care of yourself. Be well. No matter what you're doing in life, do your very best. You can do it. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you around.